Okay. We are recording this, and the recording will be available online with our endorsement package. First question here. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and why you are running? I know you're an incumbent, but you're sticking with it. So tell us a little bit about your goals and why you're running again.
Sure. My name is Tony Exum Sr., House District 17, serving in my third term. I'm a longtime resident of Colorado Springs, one of 11 children, matriculated through the public school system, graduated from Palmer High School and from the University of Southern Colorado. Served the Colorado Springs Fire Department for 35 years, 10 months, and 19 days, and retired as a battalion chief. And got elected for the first time in 2012, lost a close race in 2014, came back and won in 2016, 2018. And if the good Lord and the voters say so, in 2020, I'll be serving my fourth and final term. And my goals are the same as they were when I first started. And that's improving the quality of life, or trying to improve the quality of life for the people that live in Colorado, especially in Southeast Colorado Springs. And my focal point has been, I serve on the Education Committee and I'm Vice Chair of Local Government and Transportation. So my platform or goals have been, education, the economy, infrastructure, trying to improve the infrastructure in Southeast Colorado Springs, honoring our military and our seniors. And of course, what I'm hearing on the doors this year is the concern about going back to school and what we've been doing with the COVID response.
Okay, I have an education question for you. The lack of funding for education in Colorado is always sort of the elephant in the room. Year after year, we're pretty much embarrassed to be ranked among the states with the lowest paid teachers, and COVID just kind of makes that situation worse. What would you do to solve this problem in a sustainable way long term? I mean, we seem to talk about it in the legislature every year, but then it's just like everybody kind of throws up their hands and goes on to something else because it's so big.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things, and I'm sure you're familiar with the history. Our biggest, the elephant in the room, is Tabor, and what Tabor and the Gallagher Amendment has done to the funding for services in Colorado. And education is the biggest part of our budget, and we have to balance the budget every year. So unfortunately, we had to make some deep cuts in all departments because of the COVID response. And hopefully the citizens will get a chance to vote on repealing Gallagher. It's on the ballot. And what has happened before 1992, as you're well aware of, the majority of the state budget for education was through taxes, through property tax, and then the state filled in the rest. Well, after Tabor, that reversed. So now 65% or so, or about that much, is the responsibility of the state, and about 35% is from the property tax and other fees. So with Gallagher, with maintaining the 55-45% ratio with commercial and residential taxes, when the tax base or homes or businesses improve, their value goes up. There's a ratchet down effect in keeping that ratio. So because of that, then the state and the city does not get the benefit of those that extra funding to take care of the state and take care of the city. So if that's released, then when property values go up, then the state and cities and counties will get the benefit of those increased property taxes.
You have 35 years experience working with the Colorado Springs Fire Department. From that
Mm.
perspective, what are your thoughts on how we fund public safety?
I think we do a pretty good job. I know with the city, it's the biggest part of the city budget, uh, and uh, Tabor obviously has an impact on city services too. So I think that we're doing a decent job in taking care of our firefighters and taking care of our police officers. Certainly, um, everybody wants more, but with the size of the city and what we're doing, and with public safety being one of the biggest part of the city budget, I think we're doing a pretty decent job at that.
Talk about your district's struggle with PFOAs and what you've been able to accomplish regarding clean water as an elected official.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the question. Uh, we were fortunate enough to get bipartisan support. Matter of fact, my co-prime sponsors were across the aisle. Representative Landgraf and Senator Heisey, myself, and Senator Lee passed legislation to deal with the PFOA and PFAS. For years, even when I was on the department, we trained with the AAA firefighter foam out at Peak Field, and in 2016, uh, the runoff uh, damaged the aquifer in Wide Field, and uh, we were told for years, for decades, uh, that the AAA foam was not harmful, and come to find out, it has many health problems, causes cancer and things like that. So our bill uh, says that you cannot test or train with this AAA foam. You can use it in emergencies. If you test or train with it, you'll be fined. We did allow one amendment for the airports that have these hangars that have the AAA foam that's in the fire extinguishing system. And so we worked with CDPHE and said, okay, if you test, because they said they had to test to maintain their insurance. And so we put some guardrails around that. Says if you test, you have to work with CDPHE to control the product, to capture the product, and then work with CDPHE to dispose of the product. And there's another bill that's building some funding with CDPHE to help them with the mitigation of that. So we still have a ways to go. The goal is in some of the European countries, they're using a firefighter foam that does not have the fluorine added to it that causes cancer. It's a more biodegradable firefighter foam. It does the same, has the same effect for petroleum fires. It does not put the fires out as fast. So it's a great product for fighting large fires, especially petroleum fires. But when it gets into our soil and gets into the water, it's causing a lot of health problems.
How have you impacted the economy of your district?
Well, we've done a couple of things. Most of the legislation that I've run, hopefully, has tried to improve the quality of the lives in Southeast Colorado Springs. The state budget sometimes impacts the local community, but as you well know, we have local control state, and the city and the county are pretty much responsible for taking care of their communities. And so I've been trying to work with the council and with the city to put more investment in Southeast Colorado Springs. We're seeing some improvement, but as you well know, Southeast Colorado Springs has been afterthought in my view when the city is planning, the county is planning for improvements. And so we're hoping that that's going to change. We've done some legislation like the Crime Prevention Initiative bill that transformingsafety.org, it took some money from the Department of Corrections and created a pilot program for Southeast Colorado Springs and North Aurora. And so there's schools and nonprofits that are benefit from those grants and from those loans to help improve the economy in Southeast Colorado Springs. So we still have work to do, but I'm going to continue to work with what we can do policy wise, and working with city council and our county commissioners.
Your opponent on the Republican ticket, Robert Blanken, has scolded Governor Polis for his handling of the coronavirus, specifically the shutting down of small businesses. What's your position on the governor's handling of the virus, and what would you have done differently?
You know, hindsight is always 2020. I thought the governor did a pretty good job considering the circumstances. I thought he was upfront with what the request was. He tried to work with businesses and with the community, and then some of the executive orders had to be stronger because people was not responding. And when the executive orders became stronger, we saw several of our COVID cases reduced. And then when the governor decided to start opening some of the businesses back up and our churches and other things, they did it very systematically. And I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, I got a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails, and I was in contact with the governor's staff on some of those decisions, but I think overall he did a pretty good job.
Okay. If elected, this would be your fourth term, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What are your plans beyond this term, and how well do you think you served your constituents?
Well, I think I've done a pretty good job, and if I wasn't, I don't believe my constituents would have voted me back in for three terms. I'm going to stay focused on the things that I mentioned to you before. Always with legislation that you pass in the previous session, folks on the other side of the aisle that don't like the policy sometimes try to amend that. So I'm going to do my best to make sure the bills that I was fortunate enough to sponsor and pass, that they stay intact, and that legislators don't add amendments to those. I don't really have anything in the. There's a couple things in the queue that we didn't get past last session because of COVID. It didn't meet the priorities, and that was it was called a ninth grade success program, and it was a bill that created some funding for the schools to work with social workers and other folks to help ninth graders that are struggling, because ninth grade is one of the highest dropout rates that we have. And we know when ninth graders disconnect from the school, it's tough to get them back in order to graduate. And then the other bill that we had to had to PI was a bill to help foster kids with their driver ed education. And so those, like I said, I don't usually have a whole lot of things in the queue because I want to wait and see what leadership has for me, and then what constituents may want me to run, and some of the other lobbyists that you work with, other nonprofits.
Okay. Looking back on your past 3 terms, what would you have done differently?
I don't know. It was a learning process for me. As you know, I don't have a political background. I have a background in serving. So serving in the legislature is like drinking through a fire hose with no shutoff valve, because things move so fast. So I don't know. I can't think anything I would done differently. Maybe asked a few more questions, I think I held my ground on, you know, my faith, the things I value, the things that I believe. And if you look at my record in the bills that I've supported and the bills that I've passed, I believe that they've been consistent with what I stand for and been consistent with helping the community that I serve.
How would you describe your leadership style?
Um, I consider myself a moderate Democrat. So, and with that, and then, and let me explain that. I think I'm a moderate Democrat because I'm a moderate person, and I I think my leadership style is to work with folks uh, that are in my caucus and work across the aisle. I consider myself a good listener. Uh, I'm uh, I'm one that's always kind of mediating uh, different opinions from groups of people. Uh, I've had the ability to be a good mediator and a good listener.
How do you make decisions?
You know, I if it feels right in here, you know, the gut, if it feels right in your heart, and uh, you do your proper research, uh, and like I said, I think I believe 99% of all the bills that I've voted on and decisions that I've made have felt right in here. About 1% have been very, very tough because they're uh, they may impact my district negatively, or uh, they may go against some of the things that I stand for. But I try to do my research and 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 think about, you know, uh, my what feels right in my gut, my conscience, you
Mhm.
know, how it's going to impact my constituents, and certainly being supportive of my caucus. But I have voted against or not with my caucus a number of times, and those things are difficult. But like I said, if it doesn't feel right in my gut, and I don't feel like it's going to have, I feel like it's going to have a negative impact on the people that I represent, then sometimes I've voted against my caucus.
Can you give me an example of what might be in that 1% that you kind of held your nose and voted for?
Uh, I can tell you one that I voted against,
Mhm.
that I was torn between, and that was the mill levy equalization bill. Uh, that was a very difficult bill because I'm not against uh, charter schools or private schools, or however parents want their kids educated, but I don't think that we should pull money from public school to support private schools. And I didn't. And the other part of that, if you're going to uh, be in the school system, then I think if you want equal funding, then you need to do your equal part as far as the regulations and requirements that teachers in schools have. And I didn't think that that was equal among charter schools and public schools. And so that was a tough vote, and I voted against that bill.
How do you think the state should address the civil unrest stemming from police actions?
I think we need to be more intentional about uh, getting our law enforcement involved in the community. Uh, and what I mean by that, instead of policing the community, get to know the community that you serve, work with the leaders in the community. And we passed a very strong bipartisan police accountability bill in Senate Bill 215. And I hope that I believe it's going to help improve the integrity of our law enforcement by bringing accountability for those that act outside uh, to serve and protect. So just getting more involved in the community, so the community sees the human side of that police officer. I worked alongside police for almost 36 years. Very, very difficult job. I believe that the vast majority of our law enforcement are doing a good job, are there for the right reasons, and we just need to have things in place and have the courage to deal with those that act outside protecting and serving, what we call those bad actors.
What do you consider your proudest accomplishment as a legislator so far?
There, that's a tough question. I think there's a couple. I think one of my signature bills was the breakfast after the bell bill, to make sure that kids had a healthy breakfast after the bell. Kids were always that qualify for the free and reduced lunch. They served breakfast before the bell, and there was about 28 to 30% participation. After we passed that bill in 2013, that participation increased to almost 98%. So I was uh, uh, not only proud but very grateful to be able to run that bill with Senator Dominic Moreno out of Adams County. And I think the other uh, another bill was certainly the PFAS bill that we passed to help those communities and help our firefighters do their job in a more safe manner.
Colorado's gas tax was last increased in 1991 to 22 cents a gallon. In 1991, the cost of a new home in Colorado was somewhere around $130,000. Do you support an increase in the fuel tax to help fund the state's infrastructure? And beyond that, if you would just speak to your ideas for funding the infrastructure backlog.
Yeah, I think that we certainly need to take a look at that, and there certainly needs to be more avenues of trying to increase those fundings. And I don't have anything concrete right now, but just being open to different ideas that would help increase that funding. Because, like I said, with the Constitution requiring us in Colorado to balance the state budget, we have a lot of different priorities that are pulling a lot of different ways. So we definitely need to look at different forms of revenue to help support our infrastructure.
I don't really have any more questions. Amy, Helen, do you have any questions? Hello?
I don't have more, sorry, I'm behind a bar.
That's quite all right.
I don't have any either, Mary Jo, but thank you.
Okay. Would you just like to sum up, or is there anything that you would just like to say? Anything off the top of your head?
No, other than I appreciate your time. It's been an honor to serve this community, and I hope that the constituents give me one last opportunity in my fourth and final term. And I appreciate the opportunity.
Do you plan to run for the Senate or any other offices, or are you done?
I don't really have any plans right now. I'll be spending some time praying about that, asking God what my next assignment is, and it'll probably be something I don't want to do. But I don't have anything right now. It's the only thing that I would qualify for if I'm fortunate enough to win in November. If for some reason Senator Pete Lee decides not to run for re-election, and that's something I would consider. But if he decides to run for re-election, I would not run a primary against the person that actually recruited me to do this job. So we'll see what opportunities are out there, but maybe I'll actually retire
Ooh,
after this. So
it could happen.
yeah, but it's hard. I mean, because you never retire from serving people. So I'll be serving the people in some form. I just don't know what that's going to be.
Okay. Thank you very, very much for your time and for your patience with our technology.
Not a
Thank
problem.
you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Helen,
Hey,
we're still recording.
great. Am I still on? Okay. Oh, that I had a disastrous time. Sorry.
We're still being recorded, so we need to hang up.
Yep. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.